Well, hello, Amanda. So good to see you. I would love it if you could introduce yourself and let us know what you do.
Yes, definitely. So my name is Amanda Marley. I am in brand management for CPG. I have a background in sales, but recently transitioned to brand management. And I've been really enjoying that so far.
Nice. Can you share what were some of the challenges that you were experiencing before we started our work together?
Definitely. So I was searching for a new role for about 3 months before we started working together. And what I found is that I was getting a few phone screens and initial interviews, but none of those were going past the uh, first interview stage, either because it wasn't a good fit for me or it wasn't a good fit for the company I was interviewing with. So I was really just feeling a lot of frustration with where I was, given that I thought my experience was really marketable. And then in addition to that interview stage, I also was like applying for a lot of jobs and not seeing, although I was seeing some phone screens and interviews, not as many as I thought I should be.
True. Do you have a ballpark figure of what that was like your rate of return from your applications to get interviews?
Sure. So, I mean, I probably applied for 100 jobs, to be
Wow.
honest. And I think I had like 10 interviews. Um, yeah. So
Okay.
and that's like when I say interviews, I also mean the phone screen as well, because sometimes it would go to the phone screen and then not go to the first interview stage.
Yes. And I mean, that's actually a better than average return rate because most people, on average, it's a 2 to 4%. So you were already above average even before we started working together. But what do you think was going on that you were not making it past the phone screens in some instances?
So I think that some of it was that I was my applying wasn't that focused. So I was kind of applying for like, even though I knew I wanted to continue in brand management, I had more years of sales experience, for example. So I was applying to like sales and marketing and business analyst roles. And so I think that was leading to me having the phone screen and then realizing it wasn't a good fit for me on my end. And then additionally, I think with the interviews, I just hadn't I prepared, but I don't think I prepared in the best way that I could. And so I think I was not having the best answers to their questions when I could have been more concise and just have more thought out answers.
Mm. And I mean, what changed then when we started working together in the various areas of your job search? Yeah.
Yes. So I think definitely you helped me to like well, I kind of knew what I wanted. I wanted to be in the like ABM brand manager space, but I think you helped me realize like that's what you want. Let's focus on that instead of kind of applying for jobs across the board, which just helped me to use my time more appropriately. In addition, I know we worked a lot on specific interview questions, common interview questions, and then ensuring I had a really solid answer for those that went back to the skills that the company was really looking for.
Right. And how was that different? I get this question sometimes. People, see that there's a lot of information online, right? You can Google how
Mm-hmm.
to answer the typical interview questions, right? How was
Mm-hmm.
the work that we did together different from what you could gather for free online?
So it's definitely a more tailored process. So, for instance, I definitely did this. I would kind of draft up what I thought would be a good answer, and then I would run it by you. And we could like specifically kind of work on an answer for me and for this position, which is just, you're not going to find that online. You're just going to find examples that you can try. I also found that with online research, I would see 20 different suggestions that were all pretty different. So, for instance, some people would say keep it really brief, and then some websites would say, oh no, you should go into more detail. So there was a lot of like conflicting information, and I wasn't sure which source I should trust. So I think just having one trusted source of information where it's clearly worked for a lot of people, and then being able to have that like one-on-one aspect of really tailoring those answers for me and for that job.
Yes, because everyone is different. That's for sure. Your
Right.
experience is different from anyone else's, and then what you're pursuing is different as well. So having the ability to customize things to position you as well at the right level for the opportunity that you want. That I think that's something that is important to understand. Um, would you be able to share like more details about how the different aspects of the program helped you in your job search?
Yes, definitely. So for me, well, it was interesting because when we first started working together, I actually had a few interviews. So, what was nice is that you were kind of flexible with the different stages that we were working in. And so we kind of jumped into interview prep because that's what was most pertinent for me in that moment. So that helped a lot. I explained some of that. And then once I felt like I had a few go-to answers for those interviews. Additionally, you really helped with my resume and then LinkedIn profile as well to ensure. I know you say you always want to have multiple job options available, so it really kept me focused on like each stage of the process and making sure I was still working on my resume even while I was having some interviews so that there was always something in the pipeline.
Exactly. Yes. I talk a lot about the pipeline these days because it's
Yes,
so important, right? Like, how did
right.
you find that that helped you, like, kind of navigate the ups and downs? Because you were in play with a few different companies ultimately, right?
Yes, I was. And so, I mean, that really helped me to just um, ensure that I wasn't really all in on this one role that might not work out because we all know it's a very competitive process. There's a lot of stages to the interview process. So I think before I'd been taking it kind of like one by one, like, okay, I got an interview with this job. I'm going to focus on that until I hear back, which is going to take another week. And then um, even if I hear back, the next round isn't going to be scheduled for another couple weeks. So it would really slow down my progress because of all that time. And so I think it just helped me understand like, I'm going to prep for this interview. And then once I have that interview, I am going to, work on my resume during that same time so that and that allowed me to have multiple interviews during the week and multiple opportunities. So I also felt like there was a bit less pressure when I was interviewing. Although, of course, I wanted to do well, I knew that I had multiple opportunities, and that just helps emotionally as well.
For sure. And it helps, I think, with your energy in those interviews because then you're
Right.
not coming at it from a more graspy energy if you don't have all these different opportunities, right? Yeah, makes a big
Exactly. And you have, I think, like, even if you're not talking about it with them yet, because you haven't reached that stage, just knowing that you kind of have those opportunities and a little more leverage can help your confidence during the interview. And then just any like post interview anxiety as well.
definitely. Um, yes, there is some post-interview anxieties. That's normal, right? Even when
Yes.
prepared and when you do well. I'd love to learn a little bit more about like what you think your before and after of your resume and LinkedIn profile. Can you describe that and kind of like the impact of that?
Yes, definitely. So with my resume, I had a more generalized resume. I kind of took what I had used before and just added on my latest role to it. And so it wasn't very focused on the job that I ultimately wanted, which was either an ABM or a brand manager role. And so what you were able to help me with is really looking at kind of some of the top brand manager, top ABM roles that I would want, taking those like skills and experiences and making them really apparent on my resume so that they wouldn't have any question as to whether I had these skills or I had these experiences because they were right there. And obviously I had these experiences, but I hadn't highlighted them as I should. So that really helped my resume just to, again, be less broad and more specific for the role that I wanted. And then my LinkedIn profile basically had very little information. I had like a picture and the jobs I've had in the past, but like that's it. So you just taught me to, again, make it more like personalized for me and the roles that I wanted, even adding like a cover photo and then adding my specific, like about me, that's going to, again, be tailored to those roles that I want. And then additionally adding like more details about my experiences and ensuring I have a lot of skills on there that again are the exact skills that they're kind of looking for in those type of roles. So I think before, just in general, I had everything was too broad, and you really helped me like narrow my focus and then narrow what I showed on my resume and LinkedIn profile.
Yes, and with the tangible results, right? That would be valued for the role that you were
Right.
going after ultimately. And then
Yes.
that helps to kind of serve the basis for some of your interview stories as well, right?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
And can you talk about, like, I want to know now, I want to know what role did you get? Like, give us all the details.
Yes, I definitely can. I uh, ultimately got a role as a senior associate brand manager with a smaller CPG food company, which I was really excited about. And this role was a promotion from my last role, which was really important to me because I had spent kind of a year in my last role. So I really wanted that additional promotion. And it was also an almost 20% increase in salary.
Oh,
So, which
nice.
again was just really important to me and really validated my decision to work with you and do this kind of career coaching work.
Nice. And, I did a little calculation from the time that we started our work together from session number one to when you had your offer, and it was 29 days. I mean, I know you
Wow.
had started to interview before and we jumped right into,
Yeah.
interview prep, but that was certainly a phenomenal turnaround.
Yeah, I agree. And that also, I mean, the role I ultimately ended up with, I had not like previously applied for until I started working with you. So kind of all of the stages that led me to this role, you were helping me along with.
Nice. Well, congratulations. I mean, that's such a
Thank
great
you.
accomplishment. I mean, I feel like you did the work, right? I mean, I talk about that. I mean, I can definitely help people in your situation,
Right.
but ultimately, there's so much that falls on your shoulders to implement, to execute, and to, perform in the interviews. So you definitely did the hard work that was required there, right? Um,
Yes.
was there anything that surprised you about our work together, about the program, anything like that?
I think I was just surprised by how thorough everything was, especially and like pleasantly surprised by that, especially all of the tutorial videos and kind of on the website. They like I feel like any question I had, there was probably a video about it, but then you would also give me one on one help in addition to that. So I just loved how thorough it was. And I also love that, I was using this to really get my role that I have now, but I can use these skills throughout my career as if I choose to go in a different direction or just, want a promotion, even if it's like an internal job that I'm looking for, these skills are really helpful and I think will just be applicable like for the rest of my career, which was also something that I wasn't quite expecting.
I'm so glad you brought that up because a lot of times people, job search is hard most of the time, right? Like it involves
Yes.
work and sometimes heartache, and the tendency is to want to delegate it. Right? Let's delegate the
Right.
resume, the LinkedIn, even the search, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about that is that you sort of lose control in some
Yes.
respects, and also you don't learn how to do this for yourself so that
Right.
you know this for the rest of your career. So I'm so glad you brought that up because yeah, you keep access to the program and any updates, but now you've learned what goes under the hood of a resume that
Right.
actually gets results, of a LinkedIn profile that's all dialed in for the role that you want, that has all the right things for the algorithm to really work for you, right?
Right. Exactly. And I think, if I ever did want to make a career change, I would be able to use these skills to like create a new version of my resume, new version of LinkedIn. Like, again, just these skills are applicable to the rest of my career, which I think is extremely helpful. And, ultimately, it definitely paid off with this role, but I think it's just going to like keep paying out in the future.
This is it, right? So you feel like, can you describe a bit more on the return on your investment that you got from deciding to work with me?
Sure. I mean, I got a great return on investment. I think, you know, you you had told me that kind of the cost of this, if I get a job sooner, is going to be covered, right? Because of like the salary I'm going to get with that new job, which is really true. So like you said, 29 days, this happened really fast for me. I think like my biggest regret with this process is I didn't reach out to you back in like October when I first started looking. But I thought I could do it on my own. Couldn't. So I needed some help. And I think, again, ultimately, it had a huge return on investment for this role that I'm going to have due to the increased salary I was able to get, the promotion, but then just in the future, I think it's just going to keep returning on that initial investment.
Exactly. So it becomes very hard. People ask me, like, percentage wise, it becomes hard to calculate because it
Right.
pays back over the course of your career, right? Because you
Right.
made that jump. And yeah, I'm sure you have an
Exactly.
amazing future ahead of you with more promotions and a very bright future. What would you say somebody that's considering investing in my program?
I mean, I would recommend it. I would say that, especially if you have felt frustrated in the job process, I feel like it can be frustrating and pretty isolating as well, because you probably don't know someone who's in your exact same situation. So I think just having someone who obviously can help you and give you all of the skills that you need to get this new job, but then also just be there for you throughout the process, is really important. And so I would say that it's an investment in your future that you can use kind of over and over again. And if that's, what you want to invest in, then I think it's a good decision for you.
Hmm. Yeah, I like to say it's like when you're working with me, it's like you have a career coach in your pocket, right? Through the whole
Right.
experience. Was that your experience?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I know I sent you some one off emails and things like that, and you were always really responsive, and gave really important feedback. And again, you really kind of gave me the tools to be able to do the work, right? Which I think you mentioned this, but that's really important just so that now, again, like if I ever need to do this process over again, I know how. And I feel like empowered to be able to do that. It's less daunting. So all of that has been really helpful.
No. Anything else that I haven't asked you that you wanted to mention, or have we kind of covered it?
I think we covered everything. I guess the one other thing I'll say is, and this is again with the customization, is that, like I said, when we first started working together, I had a lot of interviews lined up, and you were able to work with me to like have our sessions, like have two sessions in the same week, for instance. So you really were helpful in that as well with um, because I needed a lot of upfront help for those interviews that were coming up, you were able to say, okay, well, I'll make some time and we can meet, twice this week, even though that isn't really typical. So I think just that's great too, that you kind of customize your schedule based on the needs of whoever you're working with. And then I'll just say thank you so much for all of your help. I am really excited about my new opportunity. And I'm excited to keep this work going throughout my career and now feel like I really have the tools to pursue any opportunity that comes my way. So I really appreciate it. And it's been just great working with you.
Oh, the same. I've really enjoyed working with you. You have a very bright future ahead of you. I'm so excited for you for this opportunity. It's been truly my pleasure to support you through that. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us as well. Really appreciate that. I know that's inspiring for people to see what's possible.
Yes, definitely. I am happy to share and just really excited to start my new career venture.
Yay.
Yay.
Awesome. All the best. I know we'll be in touch.
Yes, thank you so much, Danielle.
You're welcome.